Hello everyone! The League of Mayapan achievement was requested by my patrons. For this achievement, we need to start as Huastec and farm Maya. I'm sure some of you are wondering what even is a Huastec. Well, it's a small 2-province miner in Mesoamerica with 6 development. That's 2 provinces with 111 dev. So obviously it's not the easiest start. On top of that, Huastec starts with Mayan religion surrounded by animists and Nahuatl. To form Maya, we need some provinces from other Mayan nations, but more importantly, we need to reform the religion. If you have never played as Mayan before, I will quickly recap how Mayan mechanics work. It's fairly similar to Nahuatl religion. There are 5 reforms. However, unlike Nahuatl where you unlock reforms by having vassals, as Mayan you can unlock reforms by having 20 provinces. Then when you take a reform, some of your provinces are released and you start again and do this 5 times until you have all 5 reforms. After that, you need to reform religion by having a court province next to another nation's court that has embraced feudalism. So basically one of the European colonizers. Mayan religion is a bit more difficult to play than Nahuatl though, but the reforms they give are slightly better. The strategy on paper is fairly straightforward, right? Conquer other nations, take provinces, grow to 20, take a reform and rinse and repeat. Although how you achieve that is very much dependent on the web of alliances that spawn in your game. Keep in mind that you just need to grow to 20 provinces. Development doesn't matter here, so avoid taking high dev provinces whenever possible. The best way to start is to go for the animist nations first, as they will likely only have 1 ally. We only have a force limit of 6 though, so we will be outnumbered in nearly all the wars. We will set the national focus to military and hope that we can stay ahead on military tech all game. Another big disadvantage as Mayan is that Nahuatl religion has 10% bonus army morale, while Mayan gives us +1 tolerance and +1 possible advisor. Not super useful as we don't have any Mayan provinces to conquer nearby and we can't really afford advisors at this point. To start, we will attack the nearest enemy nation as soon as the army is ready. We get a Maya Confederation CB on all labors. This gives 75% AE and 75% war score cost, which is nice, so at least you don't have to wait on claims. But the early wars are not easy. You will have to run around your army to make sure you don't take bad engagements. Make the AI attack you in the jungle or mountains, and run away if you're trying to siege down their fort and their army attacks you. Manpower is going to be the most important resource here. One thing that works in our favor is that when you attack someone, it's very likely that either them or their ally will get attacked by other nearby nations, because everyone here is trying to get those reforms done. So even if you don't feel like you will win the war, you can declare anyways and just defend for a bit. Then when someone attacks them and the AI is distracted, you can start sieging their provinces. That means playing carefully and a lot of army microing. Another thing you need to be careful is that the Nahuatl nations get subjugation CBs. So if they have attacked someone you are at war with, and if they manage to siege down the capital before you, there's a good chance they will end the war and take them as a vassal. So now you are at war with the nation's new overlord and their allies. It's a position you should never be in. You will lose that war. So as you can imagine, playing in this region is not easy. You need to be careful and play slow. In my game, I managed to finish the first war by 1449 and I full annex a neighbor. You also need to take all the money you can from wars and then start coring the provinces and look for the next target. At this point in my game, I had big alliances all around me and there was no way I could take them on, so I decided to wait for a bit. Also, you should keep converting provinces as the religious unity is going to be miserable. You need to minimize rebels and you will need to stab up a few times as there are a lot of bad stab events. After waiting for 6 years in my game, I noticed that one of the neighbors was fighting others, so it was time to attack them. You will always find situations like these. You just have to be patient. And while I was minding my own business with this war, this little 1-province miner to my north declared war on me. I full annexed the southern neighbor and then full annexed the 1-province miner as well. This war took a while though, it was 1460 already. Next I attacked Otomi when I noticed one of their allies won't join the war and eventually full annexed them. At this point, you need to start looking for alliances with a couple of other Mayan nations. Pick whichever ones look the strongest. After this, in my game, I attacked the other animist nation who was a vassal of a Nahuatl nation at this point, and I full annexed them as well. You might be tempted to go attack Aztecs at some point, but keep in mind that they have a lot of development, which means a lot of AE and a lot of admin points to core. Plus they also have a level 3 capital fort, so I would avoid attacking them for as long as possible. Same goes for Tlaxcala. My religious unity was 28% at this time, even when I was constantly converting provinces, so it was really hurting. And at this point, I was out of options to attack as I had truce with most of them, so I decided to just go for Aztecs. This is just me being impatient, by the way, and trying to finish the achievement as fast as possible. I only took a couple of provinces from Aztecs along with war reps and money, because my economy was suffering as well, and I had no manpower. Soon after that, I had a couple of allies and one of them was willing to join the war, so I attacked Tlaxcala next. Here you can see they have a lot of vassals, but most of the time these vassals will be disloyal, and so they won't actively participate in wars. You can just ignore the vassal armies and provinces. This was a long 6-year war and I managed to full annex Tlaxcala, which meant I got all their vassals. And after coring the provinces, it was time for the first reform. By the way, you have to core all the provinces. One of the conditions to pass a reform is to not have any overextension. For the first reform, you can either go core creation cost or unrest. I decided to go with national unrest as my main concern was manpower, and fighting all those rebels really drains the manpower fast. When you take a reform, you lose one staff and you lose some provinces and some subjects. The number of provinces you're left with depends on how many reforms you have passed, but I'm not sure how the game calculates which provinces or vassals to release. So this was me after the first reform. Most of the provinces I had are gone now, and you don't even keep the courts on them, so you have to start from scratch. The only good thing is that the provinces I converted are still Mayan, so that will save us some time and unrest. The game also took 3 of my 4 vassals, and I am not sure how that is calculated either, so if anyone else knows about it, feel free to leave a comment. The problem now is that you have a truce with the newly released neighbors, so you will have to find a target from the limited nations available, or you just gotta wait. Since I was in a hurry, I decided to go for the only nation I could attack. This war was a tough one. It lasted a long time and it ate up all my manpower, again. But I managed to full annex them and take their vassal. The truces were finally up, and so it was time to retake the provinces I lost after the first reform. This took a few more years, and finally in 1498 I was able to pass the second reform. The first reform was 1485, so the second one took a while. The second reform I took was the coring cost reduction, because really coring and recoring all these provinces takes a lot of admin points, and so I was reduced to this after second reform. I also lost both my vassals this time, and then it was time to rinse and repeat. I took the neighboring nations one by one. Aztecs were still strong, so I called in both my allies, and then I retook the northern provinces. Subsequent reforms don't take that long. The first and second reforms are really the hardest. I took the infantry compatibility as the third reform. For the fourth reform, I only needed 6 provinces. That didn't take long at all, and I took the colonist for this one, as you need to start colonizing to increase chances that you might run into one of the Europeans. For the fifth reform, I only needed 3 provinces, so that was easy. And finally, in 1524, I had all the reforms passed. One very important thing to keep in mind is the number of loans, because when you pass a reform, you lose a lot of provinces, which means your loan size and income goes down, and it makes handling economy really awkward. My only suggestion there is to not have an army bigger than about, say, 10 infantry, and keep taking money from every war. So now it was just time to sit back and wait for the Europeans to show up. And of course it was also time to eat up everyone around us. I saw the British troops for the first time in 1536, and finally I saw the British colony in 1553. They had started colonizing Panama, so obviously it was time to take on everyone in the south and start colonizing that way. Great Britain declared war on me in 1565 as expected, and if you don't remember from my Aztec video, this is a war where you just give them whatever they want. This is also the time you will get European diseases and a terrible modifier of rapid collapse of society, which gives minus 20% morale, minus 10% discipline, and plus 33% all power costs. It really is one of the worst events in game, and it doesn't go away until we reform the religion. So just give them all the money they want right now, as they don't have the coring range to take provinces yet. Luckily, I was colonizing that way now, and Britain started colonizing in my direction as well. Britain declared the second war when the truce expired, and again, I just surrendered immediately and gave them whatever they wanted. One thing to keep in mind here is that just having a border with Europeans doesn't give us anything. We need to have a cored province next to their cored province, which might take a while to happen. In my game, Britain declared a third war in 1584, and finally they had the coring range, so I gave them money and a couple of provinces, and I just waited for them to core the new province. And once they had the core in 1587, I was able to reform the religion. Something to keep in mind before reforming is that you should spend all the extra monarch points, as the monarch points cap will decrease significantly once we get the institutions from Britain, and you will lose the extra monarch points. So I just used mine to develop the gold mines. Then you can click the reform button. It says we will get 17 techs and 4 institutions from them, which is pretty great. You can win max here a bit and wait if you think they might get an institution soon. But in my case, they were already neighboring me and it was time to tech up fast and prepare for future wars. Now if you're just going for the League of Mayapan achievement, you can click that button, become Maya and be done with it. But if you're planning on playing more, don't tech up just yet, because the rapid collapse of society modifier doesn't go away with reforming. You need to wait a few days or even a month tick. In my game, at the month tick, the modifier is gone and we are a great power and we can see all of North America. Now you can click the text. You will still be behind Britain here, but now you can actually take ideas. I want to show you guys my economy at this point. I have an income of almost 16 ducats, which isn't bad. I am paying an interest of 25 ducats from 29 loans though. It's terrible. I actually have 7,500 ducats in loan, along with 21 inflation, and I had been buying down inflation all game. The inflation will only get worse here because our main income is from gold. You might say that 7,500 ducats in loan is pretty bad, and I agree, but this was mostly because I was playing a bit faster than needed. You can play a little bit safer and have slightly better economy, but that would mean you won't be able to reform earlier. At this point, you can easily declare bankruptcy though and not worry about the loans at all. Don't even worry about the coming war with England, because in my game they have 93,000 troops. I mean, they will only land probably around 40k troops, so we might be able to take them on, except they also have 3 or 4 military tech advantage and some good ideas as well probably. So there's no way we're winning that war. It's just better to give them whatever they want in the next war as well. So spend all the monarch points and just declare bankruptcy and speed 5 for 5 years. After that you can get level 3 advisors and catch up on tech and ideas, and start building some forts and other buildings. Talking of ideas, it's really up to you what you want to take here. I would actually start with maybe innovative here because the tech discount will be super helpful. Then go for one of the military ideas to catch up to England. You can afford to lose maybe 2 more wars against them, not more than that. Then of course you have to take exploration, as you want to colonize as much as possible and explore Pacific, Atlantic and the South America. And that's all I have for completing this achievement and playing as Huastec or Maya. I completed the achievement later in Iron Man mode as well. It took me 3 attempts actually. First one, I did not pay enough attention to economy and got bankrupt midway. The second one, I was trying to play slow, but I think I was going too slow. So finally in my third attempt, I managed to get everything right and get it done. It is not an easy achievement, and I would not recommend this if you are a new player to EU4. It is a challenging one though, and one of those that makes it worth playing in the new world. I did get lucky on how early I was able to get next to Britain. That part is RNG dependent, and you might just be stuck waiting on Europeans to arrive. There's not much you can do about that except take exploration ideas early and explore around and see where the colonizers have started. I hope this little guide helps players complete this achievement, and if you do attempt it, let me know how it goes, because I'm sure you will encounter some scenarios I missed out on. You were watching Radiator's Guide. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you all in the next one.